the master plan that you're making on your way home?
Oh, when I was in prison, what was fortunate for me was I was in a SHU. I just did 3 years and 9 months in the SHU. I was 21 days on the main line. So in the 3 years and 9 months, I had wrote a whole lot of stuff. I wrote some books, some movies, but I wrote a plan for developing option. I wanted to come home and kind of like just do what the homies was already doing. I was hearing that they was doing football, having football programs, and just all the community stuff I heard Keita Rock and them was doing with the president and all that stuff. But I wanted to do it in a way where we was gonna be able to control it. And I didn't want to feel like that I was gonna come home and somebody's gonna be able to put me up on a poster and say they give me 56 million or 60 million, and none of that happens. None of that money never come to the hood. So when I was home, when I was in there, when I was locked up, I had wrote out everything basically that I'm doing. Like almost everything to a T that I'm doing to this day, I wrote it out. That's the helping the kids, doing the movies, music. I had already wrote it out. I was actually doing the music stuff before I paroled, before I came home, with the help of Crip. But what actually helped us to actually move along was Mark Martin, AKA Bear Claw. I had the car, but he was the engine. I'm gonna say that, like, you can have a car, a good look and a good idea, but if you don't really have an engine, the car ain't gonna move, it'll just sit there. So I had already formed Developing Option before I paroled and came home. At the time, it was called Ex-Offenders Fellowship Network. I paroled in 2004. I had formed Ex-Offenders Fellowship in 2003. My wife had already filed all the paperwork before I came home. I'm fresh from prison. I don't know a lot of the little homies. I don't know a lot of the people that's moving in here, but when me and Clark came together, that's when I said it wrong earlier. From Ex-Offenders Fellowship Network, Developing Option was born. And we do business, we Ex-Offenders Fellowship Network for as nonprofit, but we do business as Developing Option. And that was when me and Clark got together, and he brought the engine to the car. So now the car can move. And together, we making it move even faster. And then with the people that we bringing on to help us run the organization, the ladies that's coming on and different people that's coming on in different capacities, is now helping it become a race car where we moving faster and stronger and we able to do the things we want to. But I formed the idea of helping kids and helping the Crenshaw community, and then from there, helping other communities do what we're doing while I was incarcerated.
So how did you get your foot in the industry? Who brought you on board? Who showed you the ropes as far as the music industry?
Well, the music industry, I was in music in 1988. Crip was my first artist. Crip was the first artist I had signed, and I had a company at the time called Delicious Entertainment. And my homeboy, Lamar Broomfield, came to me, and he was like, bro, I need your help with this artist. You got the money, you put the money in, I got the artist, and he introduced me to Crip, Lamar Broomfield. And him and Tone Tobin, it was me, him, Tone Tobin, Bronco T, and all of us, and Tone Tobin Garage. And then I got kidnapped, and ended up doing the 13 years, and from there, that's how I established my relationship with Crip. So because Crip knew of our relationship before that, he basically kept me going in music, kept my name going. He stayed in contact with me while I was doing the 13 years. And so when I paroled, he was my artist. He just basically like, look, you my manager, you do this, whatever you want to do, I'm doing it with you, because he was who I started off with. And so from that, I started dealing with Suge. Suge, I learned a lot from Suge.
Who introduced you to Suge?
Crip. Crip is how I met Suge Knight. I wanted to find somebody who was kind of already going, and I went to Bear Claw, because Bear Claw had claustrophobic records, and he was already doing everything that I was trying to do. And so Nipsey came out of that, in the Slauson boys. But to Nip's credit, Nip was already going. He was already moving. It was just that I brought the connections that he needed to get his stuff going. Now Nip had already had videos, had already had a mixtape out. He had already been moving in a major way. My first deal with Nipsey came through Steve Lobel. And my relationship with Steve Lobel was through my wife. Steve LaBelle was married to my wife's little cousin. He's a white guy. He was married to her little cousin. So I actually met Steve LaBelle. That's how I met with him. And Steve LaBelle was our connection to the East Coast because he's from the East Coast. And so when we met him, then I met mostly everybody else was kind of from the West Coast. But it was really Steve LaBelle that helped me and Nipsey get on. Because he was already messing with Bone Thugs and Harmony and had come from the DMC, Run DMC. And with him, I met almost all the people from the industry.
You still in contact with Harry O?
Actually, I just talked to Harry O 3 weeks ago. He needed me to do a favor for him. So I hooked him up with Jim Brown and yeah, I'm still in contact with Harry O.
You feel some type of way when you started pounding around with Suge?
Nah, not at all. I mean, Harry O, me and him had a conflict before I left, but you know, we ended up squashing that. But nah, everybody know you got to get some money. You know, it ain't about that. And then me, myself, I'm not gonna fall to no other man's vices. You know, Suge walk in the room, just like when Suge was so-called beefing with Snoop. You ain't beefing with them while I'm around, period. And I ain't finna flip and be wearing red and all that stuff. I'ma still be me. You know what I mean? So it was a difference with me. It's about, are you gonna still be you? I'ma still be me no matter who I walk around with.
What's the school you got going on right now, Crenshaw 60s? What's that about?
Oh, that's a school. Now, actually, you're gonna need to talk to Bear Claw because Bear Claw is the one who brought that to the table. We have a contract with Saya, and they have a school. So we actually do mentorship there. We do tutoring program there, and we actually basically help them run the school. It's more of an alternative school for kids who not making the grades. It's also called a recovery school, credit recovery school. We've been there now with four, maybe 5 years. And we're actually in Crenshaw High School, Saya, Horseman, and several other schools now with our program. And it's like I said, we're growing. We able to. Bear Claw is able to actually be the first one, I think, in LA County to do a synergy where we're able to have the kids that go to this school, the Saya school, actually still play sports at Crenshaw High School, and there's a couple more schools. So that's the first time that I know personally it's been done. The Crenshaw Rams was actually a birth child of Big U, Kev Mac, Bear Claw, Mark Martin, Big D, Mad Dog, and I think that was it. We all had came together and decided to start another organization that would move a little bit better for the Crenshaw community. And that was the Crenshaw Coach. The reason why we took on the name the Crenshaw Coach is because at the time Dwight Freeney was our benefactor, and he had gave us like $170,000. We did not take on becoming the damn Crenshaw Coach because they had a U on their helmet. That's the silliest shit I ever heard in my life. I hate when people say that. Like I'm that narcissistic to want to have a bunch of kids. Nah, man, this dude gave $177,000 to buy us equipment, pay our fees and everything for 3 years. So that's the reason why we was the Crenshaw Coach. We just became the Crenshaw Rams, 2017, our first year, because the Rams came to LA and I was so tired of hearing people say we was the Crenshaw Coach because of Big U. I don't even like the Colts. Man, I'm a Minnesota Viking fan, and now a Rams fan, and a Charger fan.
What's your vision for the Crenshaw district? Where do you see Big U in the Crenshaw district in 10 years? Are you still around here in 10 years?
Yeah. I might not be living up on that hill though. I'm ready to go off the hill. I'm ready to move off the hill where I'm at right now. As soon as my son leave and go to college, I'm gone. But this is what I visualize. This is what I always say when I talk to the club. We need to get 10 men. We need to get 10 men from our community who all willing and ready to move the same way. As far as business, as far as education, as far as more people to help do what we're trying to do. I think that I challenge our community. I challenge the men in our community to be better. I challenge the men in our community to be great. and to give more. We don't have enough of our big homeboys in all of these different communities who's doing enough to help the next generation of kids. I'm fortunate enough through our organization to have over maybe 200-300 kids that went through our program. I'm fortunate enough to have over 300 kids who went through our program who went through college. We got about 15 kids that is in the NFL. We have other kids that are successful in doing all kind of things in our life. But we need more homeboys and OGs to really step up to the mantle of being an OG. We have the ability to establish what an OG means, meaning that in all these different neighborhoods, I see these dudes saying they OGs. You wake up in your OG, but you don't have nothing positive to give to a kid that's claiming your neighborhood. You can't say to a kid, man, this is where you can be at in 5 years. This is the road you need to take to get there. This is where you need to be with your family. If you're not able to tell a person where they should be and how much time they should be spending with their kids and what the education they should be giving their kids, how to pull back, how to give, then you're really not nobody's OG. You're really just a dude who just snatching shit from the neighborhood, and you're not conducive to helping to build the neighborhood. I grew up right here in this neighborhood, and I honestly feel like I want us to be the most superior thing moving as a group. You know, I want us to be #1 in everything that we do. I want us to be #1 in music, #1 in film, #1 in sports, #1 in everything. But that don't mean that I won't help dudes from every other game. I got dudes who get at me all the time, and I'm letting them know that really what I do, man, costs me. I take money from my kids to run these programs that I do. My wife is she on my side. At first she was kind of like, man, no, we can't be giving away all this money, but then she's starting to understand. Because my philosophy is I'm not gonna get to heaven for the work I do for my kids. I'm gonna get to heaven for the work I do for kids who are not my own and who ain't gonna give it back. That's my route to heaven.